Psykopig here, and I'm with Victor from Wargaming. Victor, how are you?
Thanks, I'm fine.
Just fine?
I just landed at 5 a.m. It was a 24-hour flight.
Absolutely, I could see how that would be a little bit tiring. So, we're going to be talking about World of Tanks and Wargaming in general.
Right.
First up, I want you to talk to me a little bit about World of Warships.
Right now, out of our 3 projects, tanks, warplanes, and warships are bound for 2014. Right now, there are various pre-alpha stages, pre-alpha tests, and most of them are internal. So probably it's a little bit too early to give details, but what can go wrong with big, huge, action stations with big, huge guns and torpedoes and planes, aircraft carriers and destroyers, and like I played it for many times already as a part of this internal testing. This is awesome. One thing you would think, okay, those ships are big and slow, so the game is slow. No, there's so many different weapons, there's so many different combinations of your fleet and the enemy fleet, their islands, their sounds. It's non-stop action. It takes you 30 seconds to start the engines and start moving towards the enemy fleet.
Yeah, of course.
But then it's a non-stop action. As long as they engage, that's it. There's a 7, 10, sometimes 15 minutes of non-stop destruction and killing.
That sounds absolutely perfect. That's what I like to hear. Absolutely. So a little while ago, we heard about a possible works of an overarching metagame between the games. Something where you might be able to call in help from the warplanes in World of Tanks. Is that still going on?
Yes, that's the plan. It's a good plan, but first of all, and again, I have to be realistic here, we have to deliver the best possible dogfighting and aerial combat experience. If that doesn't happen, then combination does not make sense. But right now in open beta, I can't get myself out of there. So you never know before you launch and actually see that. That's unfortunately the downside of any entertainment business. But right now, warplanes are bound to the very right direction. So first we make that. 2014 we do warships, and then we see how we combine them. Presumably, we first start with a clan war map, where you have a natural strategic combination. Like it's actually natural. You fight in a real battle. If you win, then your tank battle is reinforced on your side with a couple of airstrikes or recon kind of plane and battleships. They give you strategic control over seas, over supply routes, over your, the transfer of your tanks, and they may give you barrage and coastal territories.
All of this sounds so amazing to me. The World Cyber Games, you guys were selected to take part in that. Are there any changes you're making to the game to suit that? Obviously,
tanks and then planes and obviously warships, they're very suitable for eSports. Well, first of all what is happening on the battlefield is happening on the server, so the game is unbreakable. That allows us to, whenever we want, to conduct any number of quarterfinals, semifinals, whatever, like online without physical presence. Of course, the grand finale has to be in one place where people come in huge like stadium or hall arenas, yeah, and
Rockstar style
fight each other and face to face. Apart from participating in certain already established esports leagues like WCG or ESL, that would be European, or some American and Russian and Ukrainian established leagues, Wargaming launched its own Wargaming League. Well, for this year, the prize money budget is like 2.5 million, which is a good starting point.
It's always a good starting point. 2.5 million is always a great start.
Yes, and we can see how great the response is. It's going to be getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Games like World of Tanks and World of Warplanes, which are competitive, which are technologically immaculate, which are spectacular, which have these cinematic cameras and those explosions. That's their destiny. So esports, this is where we are throwing our best people at, from engineering standpoint and from marketing, that's a whole organization, and it's worldwide, which is working inside Wargaming to make our esports for World of Tanks now then Planes, to make it like epic experience. And it doesn't matter where you are. If you live in the Philippines or in Singapore or in San Francisco or in Russia, you have a chance to bring together 7 friends, train, get your tanks with our free-to-win model. I mean, you don't have to pay. You can work your way through to top-level tanks and be the same. And like paying users don't have, with our free-to-win concept, that don't have any advantage on the battlefield. So you can end up winning thousands, dozens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars in grand finale.
So that you actually lead me to a good point. That's something I wanted to talk to you about, which was the business model you have. Are there any future changes coming for the shop itself?
I think, and I keep saying this at any occasion, that around 5-6 years ago, there were 2 companies in the West, us and of course Riot Games. We love the guys.
Me too.
Who kind of brought this, let's say, initially Asian free-to-play or free-to-win model to the West. We were a little lucky because we had this experimental ground, if you would, in Mother Russia, which worked out really, really well. And we will be only from now on moving towards more free to win, less pay to win. So in World of Tanks right now, golden bullets and gasoline and everything is accessible for credits, and credits you get in the battle. Yes, if you're, let's say, a teenager and you don't pay in principal, you will have to spend a little more time than me, but I would rather spend the amount of money equal to a couple of movie tickets and a parking lot ticket, just to make my life a little faster. My grand leveling up in World of Tanks is a little faster than teenagers. But if he's more skillful than me, if his team is more coordinated than me, then I don't have a chance.
Absolutely, and that is definitely the model that we love. Recently, you spoke about the 20-year plan for Wargaming and some of the stuff you do in the community as well. So can you give me some stuff about that?
Well, right now Wargaming, so this year we celebrate our 15-year anniversary. That's been quite a bit of time. And we were making strategy games like real-time strategy, turn-based strategy. So we know our audience. We were making military games for the guys for 15 years, right? Right now tanks are still rolling around the world, pretty much conquering territories. The whole company is growing like crazy. We are now today 1,800 people with offices in 15 different cities, a bunch of East European towns, Tokyo, Singapore, Seoul, Sydney, Paris, London, Cyprus, San Francisco, Seattle, and Chicago. So there's going to be more announcements sometime in the future, because we are still growing. Both in our development capacity, we can either acquire or build new studios to build new projects, like new projects, maybe do different platforms. In Chicago, we are finalizing our Xbox 360 edition of World of Tanks. There was a very secret project, but right now it's open. We announced it at Microsoft's E3 big press conference.
All over the place, everybody knows.
Yeah, so it's looking good. It's looking good. It's not easy. It requires a lot of technical and administrative work, but we will release it within very short amount of time. So warplanes and warships are bound for existence this year, planes, and next year warships. World of Tanks Blitz will be our first big initiative on the mobile platform. That's pretty much the same World of Tanks. Okay, very similar World of Tanks. 3D battles, they're just a little smaller, a little faster.
A little bit more mobile.
A little bit more mobile, yes, if you would. We have World of Tanks Generals, which is totally different touch on combat. This is a trading card game when you have like a small, battlefield, and you have stacks of your cards, and you just, of course, tanks are main characters, but you have a lot of support like support squads and artillery barrage and headquarters. Your typical trading card mechanics. Also free to play. Also, you build the best card stacks. You work your way through to get them. And there's going to be some other initiatives we will be announcing soon. It's a non-stop game. Our analytics and statistics says that billions, okay, I can say minimum a billion of guys around the world, maybe a little more, maybe much more, are willing to play combat games, fast and furious, with destruction, with fair play, with competition, with tournaments, with casual mode where you just, spend half an hour blowing some stuff up, and that's all you need, and we're fine with you as well if you're a person like this. So the amount of work which is in front of us is for the next 10 or 20 years. You never know what happens in 5 years. Maybe there will be just one unified platform in the form of some mobile device which you put on a table and it projects it transmits it to your plasma, or maybe even does this holographic image around the room. It doesn't matter. It's all about gameplay experience. We are good at gameplay experience. The key to our success is non-stop research of our user preferences. We have peta-mega flops of data right now, even for all the tanks, and we know what people do, what they like most, what they don't like, how to make the experience more enjoyable, which elements of our wargame universe we combine, and in which way. It's a non-stop process of creating new and new entertainment experiences, but isn't it wonderful?
Absolutely is wonderful. Thank you so much for meeting with me today, Victor. Massively TV.